This video is brought to you by the 3-Minute Board Game patrons. Keep us independent by supporting us on Patreon.
Kia ora koutou, and welcome to this very special presentation from 3-Minute Board Games. 10 great ways to get more out of your board games. Now, what's going to set this video apart from a lot of other board game content is this one isn't about buying more games. This isn't a list of extra games to get or things for you to go chase down. This is a video about getting more out of the games you currently have. And to that end, I'm going to run through 10 ideas. 10 different ways you can get more out of your games. Now, these are just suggestions. You don't have to do any of them. I'm not forcing you to do any of this stuff. I'm not going to coerce you at all. These are suggestions. They're ideas. They're ways you can get more out of the games you already own. Now, a reminder that 3-Minute Board Games does not do paid content. Keep us independent by supporting us on Patreon, or you can pick up my games, Shadow Moon Syndicates, Red Dust Rebellion, or my Neato book, 101 Board Games to Try Before You Die of Boredom, which is available all across the USA right now, and it's coming to just about every country in the world at some point. You can support the channel directly on Patreon, but you can also just buy one of the really cool things I've made. For the first entry on this list, we're going to have a rare guest spot on 3-Minute Board Games from someone else who makes videos. Now, that person is Sarah Reed, and I first came across her because I reviewed her game, Oaxaca, which she designed with her husband Will, right in the very start of the channel. It was one of the first games we reviewed. It's a great small box game, and I absolutely love it. Really neat engine builder. Lots going on. Now, Sarah also created something called the 10 by 10 challenge, and I'm going to hand over to her so she can explain her creation and how it works.
Thank you, Jay, for having me on to talk about my creation, the Play 10 Games 10 Times Each Challenge, or more commonly known as the 10 by 10 Challenge. So, little bit of history, just a short bit. Back in 2013, Will and I were really getting into board games, like the deep end. We had been playing board games for a long time. But we kept buying, well, new ones, because that's what people new to the hobby do. You want to go buy more board games. But we were constantly learning new games, and then moving on to the next game, and then moving on to the next. So I just was getting really burnt out on always learning new rules and never really digging into the meat of a game. And so I was talking to some folks in the Women in Gaming forum on Board Game Geek, and they were experiencing the same thing, getting really overwhelmed by always learning new rules and never playing the games that they own. So I thought, well, we should challenge ourselves. Let's play the games that we have. So this was in December, I think of 2012 actually. We decided, okay, so for 2013, we're gonna choose, how many games? Oh, I know, 10 is a good number. 10's good. And let's play them 10 times in a year and see how it goes. And we're gonna really be hardcore about this. You're gonna pick that list ahead of time and do it. So me and 10 other people got really excited about this. I created a geek list so that everyone could participate. I posted it and it blew up. This resonated with so many people and it's grown so much over the years. Most people don't even know I created it. I mean, which is fine with me because it's such a fun challenge to really get into playing the games that you want to play. And so I've hosted a geek list on Board Game Geek every year since then. Now, I have added a normal challenge for those who aren't hardcore about this. And honestly, with my busy life, this is how I do it now. You can just play any 10 games 10 times. So by the end of the year, you could just look back at the games you played and said, I played this one 10 times and this one 10 times. And so you don't have to pick your list ahead of time. The way I kind of do it now is I will just kind of keep track of my plays, which I do use Board Games BG Stats. It's a board game app that's really good for keeping track of things. And once I see that I've played 5 games of a game, played it 5 times, then I start really working on, okay, I'm gonna try to just get 5 more plays. And so that's how I dig into the games that I own. And it's been a really fun journey because it's inspired other people to do other challenges. When I created the 10 by 10, there were only 2 other challenges that were well known at the time. The 1 by 100, which I attempted with Dominion, you pick one game and you play it 100 times. I have not succeeded yet. but I keep playing Dominion, so I'll get there eventually. And then I believe there was the Advent Challenge, which happens during December, where you play a game, every day leading up to Christmas. And since then, since I've, created the 10 by 10, people have done, 10 games, 10 times, that's too hard. Let's try 5 games, 5 times. And that's a really good way to challenge yourself. Maybe you can do the alphabet challenge, where you play a game by, every alphabet letter, and you play a game that starts with that letter. And there's been so many more creative ones. I really recommend checking out the Meta board game list of challenges, something like that. You can check Board Game Geek, search for Geek Lists. That lists every, challenge that every year that has happened, had challenges up to that year, and it'll keep adding more. So it's a way to find all of them, or you can always find mine, because I do a geek list every year too. So that's it. That's how you do a board game challenge, 10 by 10, 1 by 100, 5 by 5, but it allows you to get more into the games that you own. Thank you, Jay, for having me on. Back to you.
Thanks for that wonderful explanation, Sarah. Now, Sarah and her husband Will, they have a YouTube channel called Rolling with Two, which not only does a whole bunch of excellent board game reviews, they review games from an interesting perspective because Will is legally blind. So they have to take that into account on all their reviews. They're definitely worth watching just for the reviews, but if you know someone with vision impairment, their channel is an excellent resource. Because as far as I'm aware, they're the only channel offering that perspective currently. Anyway, that's a 10 by 10 challenge. That's something you can do if you want to get more out of your games. Now let's get on to the second item. Now the thing with having a ton of board games on your shelf is you can just spend ages staring at them, and at the start of a session you can go, what are we going to play? And then eyes will just sort of glaze over the shelves and people will be like, oh, and you spend 10, 15, 20 minutes deciding what to play. An alternative to that is to construct a board game menu. Don't access all of your collection at once. Just go, okay, here's a selection of 6, 9 games that we could possibly play. We'll have some light ones on there. So, Sea Salt and Paper, Castle Combo, Acropolis, something a little bit heavier, Pan Am. Oh, here's something new and sexy, Everdell Farshore. Or if we're going to be here for ages, how about some Civolution? By limiting your options, you'll actually have more time playing games. And you set that expectation before people arrive. You go, hey, here we're having a game session. Here are the 9 games on the board game menu. We're not going to pick from the whole collection. We're not going to have a debate that goes for 30 minutes deciding what we're going to play each time. That'll give you more time playing and ultimately allow you to get through these games as well, because you'll be able to curate this list and decide which games you want to focus on. And you don't need to change the menu each time. In fact, keep the menu the same for a month and then rotate games in and out based on how they're played. Using an a la carte menu rather than the whole smorgasbord just eliminates a lot of that wasted time deciding what you're going to play. And it's a really simple way to get more out of your games. The next idea works best if you have a regular group that all likes the same game, and that is to do a single game tournament over a number of weeks. Now you can play other games during this time, but each time you meet up, you play one game of the game that you have picked for this tournament. Now, as a suggestion or as a sample, I'm going to show you what I would do for a 7-game long Terraforming Mars tournament. Now, I just happen to have 7 different maps for Terraforming Mars. So you've got the original map, which is everyone should be familiar with who's played the game. Then we have the first map pack that came out, Elysium and Hellas. And then not that long ago, they put out another 2 maps that I picked up. Terra Cimmeria here, Utopia Polynesia. Get that around. Slightly awkward to hold up in front of the camera. And finally, Amazonas Planitia and Vastitis Borealis. So, you would have 1 game on each of these maps. Now, if you don't have the 7 maps, you don't need to use the 7 maps. You can just use the same map. The other thing I'd do is I would have a huge number of corporation cards here, and I would deal out 7 corporations to each player, 1 for each map. Now, alternatively, you could draft them if you're very expert players, but it might be easier just to deal out 7 at random. And in each game, once you've dealt your other cards, your prelude cards and your project cards, you look from your available corporations and you decide which one you're going to play in that game. And at the end of that game, that one's discarded. So you've got 6 to choose from next time. That way you go through all 7 of the corporations you have across the different maps. And you have to sort of match the strength. So if you pick your strongest one first off, the one that you think you're going to kick the most ass with, and you fail, well, that's going to have ramifications for you later down the line in the tournament. You score it, say, 5 points for being in first place, down to 1 point for being in last place. In a 5-player game, 4 points if it's a 4-player game, instead of just totaling up the total points scored across. And you just keep it simple. The winner doesn't need to get a prize or anything dramatic. They might not have to make a cup of tea or have their coffee made for them for the next session. Someone else has to do that. Keep things fun, keep things light, and just focus on a game that you all like. And just create some rules to get a little bit more fun out of it. It's something I found when you do game series like this is you develop a meta for the game. You develop your own table talk, your own experiences, and you learn more and more about the game. Even if you know the rules inside and out, competitive play with people who are very familiar with the game and repeated competitive play, when it's close enough that you can remember what you did last time, really changes how a game's played. And it's an extremely rewarding experience for all involved. That's if you're not the kind of person who loses every game and gets very salty about it. Then that can be a bit of a problem. But you need to go into a tournament like this with the idea that it doesn't matter whether I win or lose, as long as I give my best efforts. That's what really matters. Having a good time with your friends and doing the best you can do. It's something video gaming has done for a very long time, and that's sort of trick you into playing the game more so you can tick something off a little box. Achievements on Xbox or Steam or PlayStation or wherever else they have them. Complete X number of things to do the achievement and it unlocks for you and you're like, yay, a little light ticks up and you feel like you've done something. Now that might sound like I'm belittling achievements, but I'm the kind of person who has 100% on Fallout 4 and a bunch of other games because I like completing things. I like doing things until they're done. But interestingly, very few board games do this. However, some, like Final Girl Behind Me, do publish out little achievement lists in their games. And that's one way you can get more out of your games. You can actually go through the official or unofficial achievement list for a game and see if you can play along and do them. Just for the Evomorph box alone, you have defeated at the USS Conrad, defeated at 5 different locations, defeated in extreme horror mode, defeated immediately after forcing it to appear due to a successful scan action, defeated before it becomes an adult, prevent the Evomorph from being placed in your space due to there being a scan token there, witness it vanish 5 times, defeat the Evomorph without losing any health, deal damage to the Evomorph before it becomes an adult, and again after it becomes an adult, and remove 2 scan action cards from the game. So as you can see, that's quite a lot of achievements just for one half box up there. So every single one of these boxes has a enemy and it has a location. So a monster and a place. And it has achievements for both monsters and places, and they involve mix and matching the content. And it's just one way to go, what shall I do next with my Final Girl collection? I know what, I want to play the Evomorph, but I've played it at his location enough times. Where else can I put him? Oh, let's open up the achievements. Oh, okay. We need to do 5 other locations. Let's do that this evening. If you want to do something like achievements, but you haven't found any for your game, you can always just look at the content you've got and think, what would an achievement list look like? So, even looking at the content of a game like Spirit Island, you've got all of these spirits. Have you played all of them? Have you played every single one of these spirits? If you haven't, well, there's definitely more game that you can get into. Have you played the different combinations of spirits? Well, there's almost an infinite number of combinations, so almost certainly not. But there are always things you can do with the game. Especially one that's got lots of moving parts, lots of factions, lots of different setups, lots of different ways of doing things. You can create an achievement list of your own to tick off all of that stuff, to do different challenges, and to keep the game fresh and interesting. Something that happens entirely too often is as soon as you finish a game, people start packing it up, they start moving it to one side. You know what you can do? You can play the same game twice while it's still set up on the table, while you still have all the cards, all the components, everything set up. You can just restack and go again. And the number of times I've done that, and it's been really a good time the second play, is remarkable. But it's this fascinating thing I've seen so many places where you play a game once and then it's whipped off the table immediately. The best time to play a game again is immediately after you finished it the first time. Now, one of the reasons I'm looking at you from this weird angle is I'd like to mention the sort of drop-in, pop-in table as well. So I have a table that has an insert, and you can put another thing over the top. That means I can have a game set up in here and ready to go. Now it means that we can play it 1 week, seal it up, come back and play it again the next week. Because set up and pack down are such great time wasters. Next up is what I like to call challenge modes, and these work best in a cooperative game, but you can do them in a competitive game if the other players agree. And that's where you put a self-imposed restriction on what you can do in the game. Now let's look at an example of Sentinels of the Multiverse. This is a cooperative game where you play superheroes battling against a supervillain, and the superheroes come with pre-constructed decks. Now, you might play this game quite a bit and find yourself leaning on specific characters and specific combos way too much. A really simple example is a character called Legacy I'm holding up here, whose special power gives +1 damage to every character. Legacy also has an ongoing power that gives +1 damage to every character. So that's +2 damage to all your attacks. That's a very strong combination against a whole bunch of enemies in this game. And you can find yourself relying on those strategies too much. So what do? Make a challenge mode. Say you can't use Legacy. There's a few other characters in here who are quite strong as well, like Dark Visionary, who allows you to manipulate the bad guy's deck. You might just go, hey, those characters, they're a little too good. Let's try challenge mode. Let's try other characters. Let's try other things. And a competitive game, you might go, you know what? I'm really good at Castles of Burgundy. I'm going to have one less action than everyone else. I'm going to start the game. You're going to have a round, and then I'll start playing. So I'll end up, having a set of actions less than everyone, and see if I can still beat you at the same game. Challenge modes work well in competitive games where you have players of different skills. And you want to keep the group interested because, they're frankly sick of you winning every single week. So, you know what? You play the same game, you give yourself a restriction, and maybe it levels the playing field or makes the game more challenging again. And in cooperative games, sometimes you can just get so proficient at them that you have to put a restriction on them. This happens quite frequently with friends of the channel playing board games who play an awful lot of Arkham Horror and come up with a whole bunch of crazy restrictions on how they're allowed to build their character decks and even the card pool they're allowed access to. This really works if you've played a game to a point where you are proficient and you are a master at it and you still want to play it, but you want a new challenge, or you want to be able to play against people without burying them completely every time, which can be disheartening. Challenge modes. You set them yourself, you beat them, and it's quite rewarding when you put an additional restriction on yourself and you still manage to beat the game. It's very satisfying. The next suggestion is to beautify your games. For me, that usually involves painting them. This is Cthulhu Wars, a game I picked up many years ago, and I finally just got around to painting it recently. Now, I've done a video on how anyone with no talent whatsoever can paint miniatures. You can check out that video on the channel. But beautifying a game doesn't just mean painting it. It can mean other things. It can be getting custom dice, it can be getting little stands for the cards. There's any number of ways that you can make a game that you really love just look that much cooler and that much better, and it doesn't have to cost a ton of money. Now, I don't sleeve a lot of games, but I do sleeve the ones I really like, and the ones I'm intending on keeping for a very long time. The thing with beautifying a game, with adding some extra trim and bells and whistles to it, is it makes you want to get it out more. It makes you want to play it more. I'm itching to finish off the rest of the models for this because I really want to have a game, and it looks damn cool. Number 8 is just give the solo modes a go. Now, there are a ton of games that come out with solo modes, and some of them are pretty damn good. I'm going to give you an example. Endeavour Deep Sea was my game of the year last year. Fantastic engine building game. But it's solo mode. Solo mode's really good. It's almost as good as playing with people, and in some cases, it's even better because you can just jump in and do it whenever you damn well want to. You want to play a game of Endeavour Deep Sea and you don't have anyone to play with? Play the solo mode. If it's included already, you've already paid for it, so why not give it a shot? Why not try to, get the full value out of the game you actually paid for? And occasionally, there might even be ones online that you can download and try. And some games are fundamentally just inherently able to be soloed. So a game like Robinson Crusoe, Adventures on a Cursed Planet, which, being a weirdo, I have packed entirely into this box. Robinson Crusoe is a cooperative game. I never play this cooperatively. I always play it by myself. I find it really good as a solo game. It's an experience I think would be actually quite awkward or annoying with a group agonizing over each decision. When I'm playing it solo, I can just go, okay, well, this is what we're doing. This is how we're allocating our resources. There's no debate. There's no anxiety. There's no, oh, I want my guy to be doing this. You just do what needs to be done. And for a game like Robinson Crusoe, that works out really well. Plus, it's a big, hairy, scary game, and I don't particularly want to teach it to anyone. But it's so good solo. So yeah, you can either play co-op solo, or you can play the solo modes in competitive games. You've effectively paid for this product already. You might as well give the solo mode a go. And if you're already a solo gamer, this is just me preaching to the converted. Number 9 is custom content. For a lot of games, there's a ton of custom content out here. What I'm holding in my hands here is an entire Arkham Horror campaign. It's called Cyclopean Foundations, and it's by a lovely chap called The Beard. And it is one of the best Arkham Horror campaigns I've ever played. It's right up there with Path of Carcosa as being one of the best Arkham Horror campaigns ever made. And I got a set printed out because I wanted to play it in person. I played a little bit of it online and was like, that's fantastic. I actually want to share this with a group. And I got the cards printed out. And I have no regrets. It cost a few bob, but it's a fantastic campaign. There's probably something about the fan-made ones. In many ways, they get a lot more testing time and a lot more testing feedback because they're out and about on Tabletop Simulator for a number of years before they're finalized. So they end up being very well tuned and very well balanced. And it's not just games like Arkham Horror. There's custom content out there for a whole bunch of games. I myself have made custom cards for Battlestar Galactica back in the day, and they're up on Board Game Geek now. And you can scour around and look for custom factions and custom missions and custom campaigns and stuff for various games you like. Or you can actually start making your own. And I found that making custom content for a board game I love is a stepping stone into actually designing games. And I'm going to give you a really great case study in that right now. So this here is a game called A Distant Plane. It's the third game in the Coin series by GMT Games. It's about the US invasion of Afghanistan following September 11. And yeah, you play different factions in it. You play the Taliban, the provisional government that's been set up. You play the Americans and the sort of non-aligned northern warlords. I played this game and I really enjoyed it. It tickled my fancy. And I made a fan mod of this, jokingly entitled A Distant Martian Plane. And A Distant Martian Plane evolved over time and ended up becoming Red Dust Rebellion. There is no Red Dust Rebellion without A Distant Plane. This started off as fan fiction of this, basically. And what I'm trying to get across here is that you can take a game that you've enjoyed and you can play around with it. You can do what you want with it. You don't have to be bound by the rules. You can house rule things, you can make up your own things, you can experiment off that game, and you can create your own custom content, and you can end up creating your own game inspired by that game. Custom content can be something you just enjoy by downloading and playing it, or even just looking through it and getting ideas. Or it could be something that you make yourself, and you can even turn that into making some games. But yeah, that's another way you can enjoy a game, is to make something for it. Modify it, customize it, tweak it, make your own house rules, make your own factions, make your own cards, do whatever you want with it. Your only limit is your imagination. And that brings us to the very final entry in this list, the one I've refrained from saying right to the end. And that is, just play the damn games. Just play them. Pick them off your shelf, unwrap them, punch them out, read the rulebook, watch a video, just play the game. Get it right to the table. That is how you get more out of your games, by actually playing them. Instead of going online and looking at what the new hotness is, look at what hotness is behind you. Pick out a game you like and play it. Or pick out one you want to discover and play it. The important thing is play the damned games. Because if you are constantly searching for the new hot thing, the new cool thing, the new experience, and you're not actually playing the games you already own, you're chasing a dragon. You're chasing a fantasy. You're kidding yourself. that the next game's going to be the great one. And to all those folks that go, oh yes, but Jared, you have like 400 games behind you. You've got so many games. You're being hypocritical. I am a professional board gamer. It's like looking at a golf pro and going, you've got way too many golf clubs. This is my job. I review games, I design games, I write about games. I am a professional board gamer. I have a lot of games for that reason. And yeah, I probably wouldn't have remotely this many games if this wasn't my job. In fact, when I started the channel, I had about 80. And that was a pretty big collection. And back then, I did not have a shelf of unplayed games. If a game came in, it got played within a week. This has largely happened as a byproduct of being a professional board gamer. And if you're not a professional board gamer and you have 100 unplayed games on your shelf, you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? And to that, I say, just play the games. Stop looking at buying new ones, pick the ones you have, play them. And if you don't have unplayed games on your shelf, fantastic, that's amazing, great for you. This is a message to those who don't. Stop buying, start playing. That is my 10 ways to get more out of your games. A reminder, 3 Minute Board Games does not do paid content. Keep us independent by supporting us on Patreon, or buy one of my games or pick up the book. All that stuff supports the channel and keeps us able to do this. And until next time, ka kite ano and take care.